great gravitas to your sound. It's very weighted. It reminds me of Kirschbaum, Bogart and Rostropovich. A little bit of supination almost in your hand, in your bow hole. But that's great for those bigger sounds, you know, when you have like the opening. It's great for that. When it gets lighter, it sometimes can be at a disadvantage. So I'd say it's a great strength to keep, but maybe also add something else to your box of right-hand tools. Okay, so you have nice rounded for the beginning, right? You have that. You have nice and low. Feels good to me too. But then you also sometimes want to be more, as opposed to more bass-like, more violin-like, or in between, cello. But we actually go between these two. When I'm playing Bach, I get way up here. When I'm playing Brahms, I get down here. This is sort of a contradiction. Who wrote this piece?
Christian Bach.
Yeah, that's what it says. It says blah 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 Christian Bach, but it's actually Sadasu. At least that's how I say it. How do you say it? Sadasu actually wrote this. Henry Sadasu, and so he basically wrote it in the style of J.C. Bach. Okay, so what style do you think J.C. Bach is?
Baroque. Late Baroque, early.
Yes, exactly. He's early classical. He was sort of branched off from his father's style and his older brothers. He was the youngest of the Bachs, well, almost the youngest of Anne Magdalena Bach. We've heard that name again, right? Anne Magdalena Bach was his second wife, Johann Sebastian's second wife. But he was the youngest kid, and he went a different direction. He lived in London, and he got into this style galant style, this gallant style, which had less polyphony, less, counterpoint, and more just singing in sort of symmetrical phrases. So you're getting that. And then, but Sadasu, he lived in the late Romantic, so, there's that heaviness that we didn't have in the classical period. So I would encourage you probably to go a little bit more towards the early classical style, because he's trying to write it in the classical style. So a little lighter, maybe. Just release a little bit more, release things a little bit more. But it's right here that it's so delicate already, right? This is the tools for you. How many of you practice this? Your spider push-ups. Let's see your spider push-ups. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See how that's uncomfortable? You got to practice this until it actually feels comfortable. Okay? And what you'll notice is you can't do it if you're pawing it like this with lower grip. You can't do it. There's not much flexibility. So that forces you to play more like a bass player, which is with the whole arm. Okay? So if you get higher on, a little higher, then you can start doing this. Everybody can try this with your pencil, or you can just do it on your knee, like this, or with a pencil. I don't have a pencil. Yes, exactly. See, that's very good. And see what she does here, go right to the tips of the fingers because it's easiest there. Now try to do it opposite between your second and third traits where we usually play. It's a little harder. Okay? Sometimes people fool to think that they're doing it. You want to make sure that these knuckles right here are moving. And the thumb, of course, will move. But these knuckles, the top base knuckles, are really important. So to get the full motion. Okay, so then I torture my students to do things like this. Just with their fingers. Just by bending and lifting their fingers. But if you're this way, it'll go backwards. So for the exercise, you have to be sort of extreme in this. You have to be sort of extreme, and it's actually going to be good for you too. Your elbow has to be much higher. Okay, now they're like, that's uncomfortable. If you play an orchestra like that, you die. Okay? But when you're playing a solo, you want to have this position. You look at any great cellist, they're in this position. Because then they can access all the way to their arm at any point. And the elbow, everybody, move your elbow. Okay, it moves, it's a hinge joint. It can only go in one direction. Okay? So if you have your elbow down here, it goes this way. You can't go sideways. Well, you can fool yourself to think it goes sideways, see? But what am I doing? I'm not really using my elbow, I'm doing, somebody said it, shoulder. I'm rotating inside my shoulder cuff to do this. But we don't want to do that. We want to free up the elbow to help. See, look at, all of a sudden, look at it.
Probably explain shoulder pains.
Pardon?
Probably explain shoulder pains.
Shoulder pains, yeah, because you're moving your whole arm and it's having to rotate in the socket too much. So once you're up here, then you can, so just get this guy going. So get your elbow nice and high and just do explain it. One, two, ready, play. So that's channeling it, right? And your elbow's here, which makes it clumsy, your hand clumsy. So you need to get up here, more like a violinist. Can you imagine a violinist playing like that? No, they don't. They have it easier though, because they can be pronated like this, and we have to be almost a little higher. Yeah. So right when you get to that, so you're gonna go. You play from above, and then you can relax your hand here. See? You're here, it's time to be strength. It's hard to be in control. So try that at the same spot. The elbow nice and high, relax the weight of your arm.